Hello, students. Welcome to our internship and CPT workshop for international students. I am Jessie Jiang. I am the International Student and Scholar Advisor at Trinity here. And in this workshop, we are going to cover the curricular practical training, which is CPT for international students. What's the responsibility for students during CPT? How to apply, what's the eligibility, and later we'll cover a little bit about how you can maintain your status during the CPT. So what is CPT? CPT is called Curricular Practical Training, and it is a work authorization for international students to be able to work legally off campus in the United States. The CPT must be an integral part of an established curriculum related to your degree program or program of study, which means you will need to define and explain how your CPT is related to your degree. So if you plan to engage in off-campus work, whether it is paid or unpaid, or for an internship or practicum, you must receive CPT authorization before you can begin working. Okay? So do not work before you receive the authorization of CPT from our office. So there are two types of work, right? Under the CPT definition, there is work type, which is full-time work. And the definition for the full-time work in CPT is working more than 20 hours per week. So it's a little bit different from the regular full-time definition in the job market. If you use the full-time CPT, then you'll be able to work more than 20 hours per week, either receive pay or did not receive pay. Some students will do internship off campus related to their major, unpaid. They still need to apply for the CPT, either full-time or part-time. There is a thing that you will need to pay attention to, which is if you use the full-time CPT for 12 consecutive months, you will lose the eligibility for OPT. OPT is a work authorization for you to work after you graduate from your current degree. Say you have a communication degree from Trinity, and after you graduate, you will receive a 1 year, which is 12-month OPT for you to be able to work legally in the US. If you use a full-time CPT for 12 months consecutively, you will lose your eligibility of OPT. For example, some students, they are in a graduate program in health care services. And usually those students will be required to do a residency in the hospital for a full year during their study as a graduate student. In that case, they will need to use their full-time CPT and work more than 20 hours per week. Usually the residency requires 40 hours per week. So if you are in this kind of situation, please contact our office to work out a plan for you so that we can ensure that you can use CPT and also you will not lose your eligibility for OPT. So there is another kind of CPT, which is part-time CPT. Under the CPT definition, part-time means working less than 20 hours per week. And you can use part-time CPT as many times as you want. There's no limitation. If you got one job that is under one of your majors, you can use that major to apply for the part-time CPT, either part-time or full-time. And if you have found another job under a second major of yours, you also need to apply for CPT under that major. You can do CPTs parallelly in one semester, or you can break down your CPTs in multiple semesters with the same employer. If you want to know more about how to navigate around these situations, send us an email to isss@trinity.edu. So there are some questions we received from students occasionally during the semester about CPT. The first one is, what if I want to start a CPT in the middle of the semester and work until after the semester ending date? Yes, you can do that. In Trinity here, we just need to adjust your CPT start time and ending time. And we will work with you and your academic advisor and the professor who is overseeing your internship course to figure out a plan for you. But the short answer is yes. You will need to coordinate with these three departments, your professor, your academic advisor, and ISSS to work out a plan. Second question, what if I want to have a continuous internship throughout a year? You will need to apply for CPT for each semester. So the CPT is based on semester. Spring, summer, fall are individual semesters. And if you wanted to have a continuous internship throughout the whole year, it's very simple. You just need to apply for the CPT for each semester, and between each semester's CPT, you just leave one day between them. And you can let your employer know that you won't lose your CPT authorization between your semesters. The third question, can I have CPT in my first year? The short answer is no. Because as an undergraduate student, you will need to establish 1 year of full-time study under your F1 status with the institution, which is Trinity University in this context, to be eligible for a CPT. And plus, many students will declare their major in their sophomore year. And until that time, you can apply for CPT. You cannot apply before you declare your major. But for graduate students, you will be able to have a CPT in your first year. And for transfer student, if you transfer to Trinity to start your sophomore year or even junior year, you will be able to apply for CPT immediately because you already have established a full academic year F1 study in another institution in the United States that fulfill the requirement. For all students starting at Trinity as a freshman student, they will need to have a full academic year study with Trinity under F1 status before they can apply for CPT. So again, we try to emphasize this thing multiple times to our students. You do not start working until you have received the CPT authorization on your I-20. And some students, some students were in a hurry of looking for jobs, or they are not aware of this regulation, and they started working before they have the CPT authorization. And in this case, we will recommend them to stop working as soon as possible so that they do not have any bad record in their immigration record. And any negative impact on their immigration record will have a long-term effect on their immigration application later, such as applying for a green card or applying for another status to stay in the United States. eligibility requirements for students who want to apply for CPT, there are 5 requirements. First, as we mentioned before, you must have completed 1 academic year as a full-time student. Second, you must be in lawful F1 status when you apply. That means you cannot drop below full-time. If you drop below full-time, you are not in lawful F1 status. Also, if you work without authorization off campus, you're not in lawful F1 status. And third, you must have declared a major and have your new major indicated on your I-20. So as we emphasized before, you must have a major for you to be able to apply for CPT. Some students may be able to declare their major in their second semester. This is rare, but we had some students do that. And if you have to work off campus due to financial situation of yourself, you do not apply for CPT. You contact our office, and our office will suggest a way for you to deal with your financial situation by authorizing you to work off campus with another type of authorization. The fourth eligibility requirement is your proposed internship must be for course credit toward your major. The internship period should not exceed the course period. So normally, your internship period must be within your course period. And what if your course ends at the end of the semester, but your internship will extend to the later date of the year? For example, your course ends in May 2021, but your internship will continue to June 2021. In that case, we'll ask you to work with your professor to allow you to extend your course ending date to that particular date when your internship ends. We will just need to talk about the details if you have this situation. Then with your professors, a formal email or letter, and we'll extend your CPT to a later date. And the fifth requirement is you must receive a formal internship offer from an employer. So it cannot be reversed. It cannot be like you apply for the CPT before you receive the job offer. You must receive a job offer before applying for CPT. Some students are wondering if they can inform our office once they pass the interview or they see the opportunity. Yes, you can. You can contact our office and let us know that you are ready to take a job, but you will need to receive the formal offer before we can authorize the CPT to you. So here are some other situations for students. Some students are studying remotely in your home country right now, and they wanted to do CPT, they wanted to intern or work for a US employer during their study. Then in this situation, you must apply for CPT because you are in legal F1 status and you are working for a US employer. If you're working for an employer outside of the US, then you probably don't have to apply for CPT. But since you are in F1 status and working for a US employer, you must apply for CPT. If you take a gap semester from Trinity, you won't have an F1 status. Then you do not have to apply for CPT to be able to work off campus. You may do another type of authorization if you wanted to work for US employer. How to apply for CPT? You will learn the process in this PDF, but here is a set of simple steps for you. We have a contact in the CELSIS, the Experiential Learning Center and Career Services, for you to be able to sign up for internship class through them. Actually, this contact person, Dr. Jacob Tingle, is no longer working in Celsius. He is back to academic teaching, but contact the Celsius. The second step, actually, it is the same as the first step. If you have an academic advisor for course registration, your academic advisor should be able to discuss which internship course is good for you. If the academic advisor cannot help, then you can go to Celsius. The third step is to obtain a job offer letter from the employer. That's easy. You just need to accept the job offer and send the job offer to isss@trinity.edu and ask for the next step for the CPT registration. Once you have the job offer, you have the internship course registered, you can complete the CPT recommendation form and submit to us. Both you and your academic advisor or the internship advisor will need to sign on the form. And then once you submitted everything, within 2 business days, the ISSS will issue a new I-20 with the CPT authorization to you. You must retain the I-20 all the time, especially when you travel overseas and come back to the US. You must have the I-20 to show your most recent status, F1 status, with the CPT authorization. And then the last question I wanted to discuss is the training period for your employment. So some students will have like an orientation day before their internship start, and we usually need to count that orientation day as the first day of your employment. So if you're on your job offer letter, there is a orientation day for your before starting your job, then you will need to let us know so that we can use that date as the start date of your employment. If that date is not right before your first day of work, we will still use that start date. Because the training or orientation is part of your job, so that training or orientation will be also the first day of your CPT. So this is the end of our CPT workshop. If you have any question, you can find me at qjiang@trinity.edu, and my Zoom room is 254-172-6606, and the passcode for the Zoom room is ISSS. And we have regular office hours during the spring and fall semester, and we will always let you know when our office hour is, and my office hour will be on my signature in my emails. And you can also send an email to isss@trinity.edu for general inquiries of CPT. Hope this workshop explained everything about CPT to you, and I look forward to seeing you in person. Have a good day, everyone. Goodbye.